Hi, folks. Welcome to EDLP 809 Field Problems in Educational Administration. This is your HEBA capstone. I know a number of you just finished the Trends and Issues course that I just finished teaching with you earlier in the summer. And for some of you, this is the first time that we have crossed paths. So for those of you that I have not had the opportunity to meet yet, I am Dr. Doug Smith. I'm an assistant professor in the College of Education's Department of Educational Leadership and Policies. This will be my second year at the University of South Carolina, and I'm most recently coming to you from the University of Wyoming, where I was a lecturer in adult and post-secondary education. So my background is in higher education and adult education, and the research work that I do is focused on community and technical colleges, focusing on planning, budgeting, and transfer issues. So this, like we said, is the HEBA capstone. I sent an email out a couple weeks ago, hopefully preparing you for a little bit of what to expect. We'll want to just spend a little bit of time here running through the syllabus and give you a really good idea of what to expect in your capstone course. So just to get some of the basics out of the way, my email right here, smithdo@sc.edu, is probably the best way to reach me. You can always send that 24 hours a day. I generally try to reply within 24 hours during the week and within 48 hours on the weekend, if not faster. If you have specific questions, especially about the assignments, try to post them to the questions about the course discussion board first if it's something that's not very personal. If it's a detailed question, a clarifying type question, go ahead and try to post it there, because if you're asking it, probably somebody else is as well. I list my cell phone on here if you need to call me or try to reach me at the last minute. I'm not in the office on a predictable schedule over the summer, so reaching me by cell will be the best. So what is this course? The course description purposes to provide you with an opportunity for in-depth study of selected field problems in education administration, and that's a generic description that we have for this EDLP 809 course. But more specifically, this is your capstone course, and as a result of taking the capstone, you are going to have an opportunity to critically examine specific problems and research related to higher education administration, and you're going to be able to identify and utilize research and data sources that you've come across within your previous coursework and some that you'll come across in this class as you seek out information, and be able to apply it to higher education to make decisions, in particular to the case study that you will be completing in this course. So, like I said in the email, no required readings. As a capstone course, we're not delivering new content. We're taking everything you've learned in your other 6 education and your 6 business classes, and we're bringing it all together into one capstone project. So as a capstone, we're going to operate largely in a self-directed format. So unlike other courses, and for those of you that just wrapped up Trends and Issues with me for the first 6 weeks of the summer, this class is going to operate very differently. You're not going to be into a discussion board every day. The only discussion board that you'll see out onto the Blackboard course shell is the questions about the course, and that's where that's about the only interaction you all will have with each other, is sharing similar questions that you're coming across. For the most part, your interaction in a capstone is working directly with me, and we'll be going back and forth quite a bit, as you'll see as we get lower down into the syllabus here. There are a lot of checkpoints in which you're working on your capstone project throughout, and those are where you're going to be working closely with me. So for those of you that are local, I am in the Columbia area for the remainder of the summer, and we can schedule individual meetings if you'd like to talk about these, but they're certainly not required to meet in person. I know some of you are not right in the Columbia area, so by default, we will work over email and through Blackboard on these checkpoints and giving you feedback onto the project and the other paper that that is required. But if you would like to meet in person, just send me an email or give me a call, and we can certainly arrange for that. So I've already mentioned the questions about the course. Be very diligent in being very descriptive in the topic and how you use professional language and a professional tone in both the discussion board and in any emails that you're sending. So down to general prerequisites. This is a graduate level course. Of course, it should be. You're at the capstone. If you're not at the end of the HEBA program, you probably shouldn't be in this course. You'll find it difficult to talk about some of the elements of the capstone project if for instance, you're maybe only halfway through the coursework. And you'll have to have the time to commit to completing this project in the 6-week span. So I'll let you read some of the netiquette that's in the syllabus here. That's pretty standard. So I know probably most of you maybe have already scrolled down to the grading policy. I know that's the first thing that folks tend to like to find. So it's pretty simple. Okay, I grade on a 10-point scale. Or excuse me, I use a 100-point scale, and 90 to 100 is an A. And so forth and so on. It's very clearly outlined in here. So as you see, there are 2 projects for your capstone. There's a case study, 80 points, and a philosophy of higher education paper, which is 20 points. And that comes up to 100 points. So there's not a lot of components to the capstone, but the case study is a very large project. And you'll be working on that from day 1 until the end when you submit it. So course assignments, I need them all in Microsoft Word so I can provide you feedback. I'm not going to accept PDFs, so please do not send me PDFs. Otherwise, I'll send it back and say, hey, I need it in a Word doc so I can work with it and get you feedback. Okay, so the philosophy of education paper. What this is you're going to give me a personal philosophy of higher education. A lot of employers are asking for these as part of application materials for a range of jobs. A lot of times these are required for faculty positions in particular, but I'm seeing more of these things trickle into other jobs that you may apply for in higher education. So this is going to be part of your capstone on developing this statement. And this statement, as it says here in the syllabus, it should reflect on the major concepts and theories that you have learned in your HEBA coursework. And you can also reflect on experience that you've gained in through individual field experience. I imagine a lot of you have work either full-time or part-time, or have some type of an internship experience or so forth and so on within higher education. So you can certainly refer to that as well. Because like we said, the intent of this is to give you something to take with you that you very likely at some point in your career may be asked for something like this if you're applying for a new job or a promotion. And you'll answer questions such as the ones outlined here in the center of the page. Why is higher ed important to you? Why do you want to be a fill in the blank, professional, administrator, a faculty member, and whatnot? So what do you believe about instruction? What do you believe about how people learn? What do you believe about diversity, access, equity in higher education? So these questions that I've put here in this description, they're really not intended to be all inclusive, and please don't view them as a checklist per se for you to write this philosophy statement from. And you're not expected to answer every one of these questions. So this is a very personal statement, and I want you to focus on the ideas and the concepts that are most important that describe your overall philosophy of higher education. What drives you to work or want to work in higher education? So one of the challenges is generally, as I say here, generally within an application for a job, there's generally limited. Folks generally don't want more than 3 pages per doc. Single spaced. So I have likewise put a window for you to hit within your word count. I want you to be within 1,000 and 1,500 words. And I'm going to pay very specific attention to this, and I'm going to check it. And I'm going to do that because I want you to be very concise. Obviously, I think you're going to need 1,000 words to be able to effectively have a very robust philosophy statement. But I don't want you to go over 1,500 words because I want to challenge you to be concise, to talk about all the issues that you feel are very important to you within that limited word count. And that's only including the body of your text, not including title, if you put a title page on it, or references. So I want you to, I'm really only going to check for APA in terms of formatting for references and if you cite anything in the paper for the citations and then the subsequent references on the back end. So in terms of APA, I just want you to pay attention to citations and references because you're not sending a APA formatted statement along with a resume. So I'll let you read through. This is what I'm going to be looking for on the rubric when I grade it. So it is due. I think you'll see it up here at the top. It's not on this copy, but it is due. Believe it be Sunday, July 26th. I added it right up here. You'll see it on the next copy. That'll be in Blackboard. The due date's right there, and the due date is. The due date is August the 2nd. August the 2nd, and you'll see in the copy of the syllabus on Blackboard that there's a statement right here as well that I will review a free draft of your philosophy statement if you would like. This is an option. You don't have to send me a copy to review, but what I will do is I will read it, I will provide you feedback, and then I will send it back to you. And if you take me up on this offer, my review, what I looked at for the draft has no bearing on when I read the final paper for your final grade. So if you're going to take me up on this offer, that's what I need by July 26th. I'm requesting that those need to be in by July 26th by 11:59 p.m. Okay, so the case study capstone project. So this is the meat and potatoes. This is 80 out of the 100 points for the course are going to come from the case study capstone. So this is a hypothetical institutional case study. And what you're going to do is you're largely going to be reporting on a fictional college that you create. This does not have to be a real college. You'll create a fictional name for it. It can take place in a real state. It can take place in a real city if you'd like, or you can make up the city and describe the demographics. So, but what I do want you to do is what absolutely needs to be fictional is the college and the college name itself. So again, the only APA that I'm going to be looking at is in terms of citations, references, and with this paper, I'll also be looking for APA headings and serration, so how it's formatted, and you'll see below I tell you about the headings and how to do them, just to make it easier for me to follow. And again, needs to be a Word doc. The final project needs to be submitted by the last day of our class, which is August 7th. So the rough order, and this is going to be a very large compilation project, but the rough order is the introduction. You'll be introducing your institution. What's the name of your institution? You'll tell us briefly, what is this case study? What are you going to be covering? What conclusions have you developed, and what did you learn about this college and about colleges from this project? So the introduction is something I want to propose that you don't focus on right away. You'll come back and add the introduction. So the description of the institution, this is the meat and potatoes of what we'll be building throughout the next 5 to 6 weeks. So I'll have a set of criteria outlined for you to be describing, and I'll be putting up videos explaining what these criteria are and specifically what I'm looking for you to do for each of them. So you'll see I have the criteria up today already for the first round of criteria that I'm asking for your checkpoint to be submitted by next Sunday. So you'll want to make sure you view that video, and you'll have a lot better explanation of what I'm looking for this set for the checkpoint. But in general, what we're going to be doing and what this project is going to conclude is you're going to develop a history of the institution. This is going to take some creativity because this is a fictional institution. You're writing the history of the institution, and I want you to be creative. I want you to be descriptive. You don't need to tell me what happened. If your institution was created in 1885, you don't need to tell me what happened every year, but give me a good look back, paint a picture for me, and I'm going to be using those terms a lot. I want you to paint a picture of what this institution is, and I'm going to send you out this week. I really want you to get out and look at the Carnegie classification for higher education institutions, and I'll point you in the right direction to where to find that. But if you haven't been on there, what that is it classifies institutions. So you're going to pick what type of an institution you're focusing on. Is it rural? Is it suburban? Is it urban? And what's the size? And there's these different criteria. So you're going to, through the Carnegie classification, narrow right away what type of an institution are you working with. Is it a 2-year? Is it a 4-year? Is it public? Is it private? All of those things. Then you're going to describe the local community and the economy. Local communities, state politics, economies. If you're someone who just finished the Trends and Issues course with me, you know that's extremely important and has a very big impact on what our colleges and universities are doing. You're going to develop a mission statement. You're going to describe some programs, who the college is serving, what kind of services are offered, what kind of curriculum is offered. You're going to describe the organizational pattern. You're going to describe the financial structure, the governance structure, and you're going to and then you're going to describe what current trends and issues are impacting the institution today. So that's just some of what we're going to have you address here in this capstone project. So what I don't want you to do is just find one institution. It's okay to be out there looking at different college and university websites to get ideas for how you're going to describe your institution, but don't pick a large land-grant university in a southeastern state and then just go to Clemson's site and paraphrase what they have on it. That's not what we want you to do. I want you out there collecting resources and justifying how you're describing what you're doing by identifying best practices, best models, best structures, and so forth and so on. And that shouldn't come just from one source. And as you'll see later on here in the rubric, one of the important things is that you are providing explanations, you're providing description, and you're backing these up with resources. You're citing research, you're citing elements from coursework, from within the Hebrew program, and so forth and so on. So, like we said, I do expect that you're building this throughout the 6-week term, and there are checkpoints built in where you'll send me your work on the criteria for that roughly week is about when these checkpoints are, and you'll have provided something for each of the criteria, and then I'll provide you with feedback. And I'm not grading you at this point when you have when you send me these checkpoints. I am going to be looking to make sure that there's substance, that there's something to each of the criteria. Otherwise, you're going to get to the end of this 6 weeks, and 6 weeks are going to fly by, and you're going to, frankly, be in a world of hurt if you're trying to do it all at the end. So that's why I have checkpoints. And it's an opportunity for you to work with me on ideas, and I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to point out new resources for you to check out, and things like that. And that also, you'll get to the end of the 6 weeks and you shouldn't have any major surprises as long as you're following up with these checkpoints and taking some of the advice that I'm giving you. So the final project, when I grade the final project, I'm not going to be thinking about what I've reviewed and provided feedback on. I'm only going to be grading the final project. But there is some points associated with each of the checkpoints, as you'll see when we scroll down a little bit further. But that's, again, just that you sent it in on time and that there was substance to it. Okay, but beyond that, the content is only going to be graded on the back end. And I do need everything on time. I'm not going to accept any late work on these checkpoints. You either have it in by the deadline or you don't. And with the checkpoints, for weeks. For checkpoint 2, 3, 4, and 5, I'm only going to review the criteria for that week. So I'm not going to go back and provide additional feedback on items that you've changed or modified from your checkpoint 1. So please only send me a document that has the criteria for that particular checkpoint, and then you'll bring it all together for the final project. So it's my expectation that you're going to be drawing from the other courses in the Hebrew program, the 6 education courses, the adult ed, the legal issues, the org, admin and governance, the assessment course, the finance course, and the trends and issues course. And from your business courses, your financial accounting, your leadership and org behavior, your managerial accounting, your marketing management, your economics of education, and your strategic management. And you'll see I think you'll see some very clear connections on some of these topics, and there's going to be something from each of these courses that can be drawn into this case study. So here you'll see I've even provided you with the APA headings, formatting. So just make sure you reference this as you're developing your case study and outlining your criterion. So I also in providing, you'll see in the separate documents that I provide you with these center bold headings and these left align headings. So please include the ones that I have outlined in the criteria for these two, but certainly feel free to add additional headings or especially subheadings to help organize your paper. So the project grading, as I mentioned, I'm only going to grade the content at the end, and that's 65 points. Okay, and then each checkpoint is worth 3 points for a total of 15 points. So 65 points plus 15 from the checkpoints gives us the 80 points. And again, the checkpoints, not grading content, but it needs to be in by 11:59 p.m. On these due dates right here. Okay. So here's the rubric that I'm going to be using to grade the final paper. I'll let you walk yourself through that. Just take a skim through it here on the front end and kind of reflect back to it as you're working on it. The big things are, this is for the introduction, that you give me a solid introduction. The rationale is that you're not only including each of the criteria that I give you, is that you're providing rationale, you're explaining it, you're giving description to each of the criteria in this project. And the support here is that you are referencing prior classes, you're referencing ideas from research, and so forth. And the last couple areas is that it's highly organized and that you're following APA for the references and citations and the formatting. Like I said, there's this class is we're going to move fast, so I can't take late work unless it's something that you talk to me about and it's a very extenuating circumstance. So the rest of the syllabus is our standard academic honesty. Always refer to the Carolina Creed. And if you need any accommodations, please contact Office of Student Disability Services now, so they can contact me and we can work things out. Okay, so that's all I have for walking you through the syllabus. I look forward to walking you through the capstone project and getting to know each of you on a individual basis here as we go back and forth and work quite a bit one-on-one on crafting your personal philosophy of higher education, and as you craft your hypothetical case study that's going to showcase everything that you have learned throughout your HEBA coursework. So if you have questions, if you have concerns, make sure you email me if they're personal, and if you have anything that you'd like clarified up front here, please post them to the questions about the course. So I look forward to hearing from each of you, and check out the next video here on the first set of criteria.